Welcome to the Rink Report presented by Telhio Credit Union. I'm Dylan Tyrer here with you ahead of tonight's action between the Blue Jackets and the Minnesota Wild. First meeting between these two teams in 2 years. And it's Science of Hockey Night presented by COSI as well. So a fun one this evening at Nationwide Arena. The Blue Jackets, of course, in the second of a back-to-back. They played last night on Long Island, losing to the Islanders by a final score of 6-0. For goaltender Jonas Korpisalo, it was his first start since January 30th. And winger Eric Robinson also returned to the Blue Jackets lineup for the first time since January 31st. Unfortunately, things not going the Blue Jackets' ways again. They fell by the final score of 6-0 behind a hat trick for Islanders captain Anders Lee. So, a big opportunity for the Blue Jackets tonight to get back into the win column against Minnesota. Joined right now by Michael Russo of The Athletic. And Michael, it's been a long time since the Blue Jackets and the Wild last faced off. Big changes for this Minnesota Wild team under new GM Bill Guerin. Tell us about Kirill Kaprizov, their new star.
Yeah, that's the biggest change since the last time the Blue Jackets saw the Wild. He's unbelievable, obviously. KHL star, Olympic gold medal in 2018, and then last year comes as the Rookie of the Year right off the hop. So, there's this unbelievable hype around Kaprizov for years. He finally gets to Minnesota and lives up to it. And this year, there's no sophomore slump by any stretch of the imagination. 29 goals, already the fourth most points in a Wild history in terms of single season. Well on his way to breaking Gabrick's record. He just, the thing with him is that he just works so hard. It's not just the skill and the speed, but he's, last night in Detroit, he scores a huge goal in the third period by eating two giant checks in the corner, just brushes them off, goes to the net, and scores the big goal, and that's what he does best.
What about the identity of this team? Physicality with a line of Eric Sinek and Marcus Foligno.
Yeah, you know what they actually remind me of is those Blue Jackets teams from 4 or 5 or 6 years ago that the Wild always had trouble with, especially in this building, where they just had trouble handling that forecheck. And that's when this team is playing good. They play a north-south game, and it starts with that grief line, as we call them. Greenway, Eric Sinek, and Foligno. They just are hard-hitting north-south game, but they also score goals. And Foligno having a career year. Eric Sinek has 18 goals, Foligno 19 as well. Obviously, Blue Jackets fans are well familiar with his brother, and Mark is just becoming a fantastic hockey player. And so this team got into a little rut here in the last month, and that line had either been hurt, guys out of the lineup, or just, Foligno probably not on the best of his game. He admitted it the other night. The last couple games have been outstanding.
Tell me about Matt Boldy. He's one of the hottest rookies in the National Hockey League.
Yeah, I mean, right away, he's come into this lineup, and he might already be putting himself in a Calder Trophy conversation just because he's at a point a game, and if he gets 25, 26 more games at that point, he's going to be right there at 50 points in 50 games. That'd be unbelievable. But 11 goals, he adds a chemistry with Kevin Fiala that Kevin Fiala just hasn't had the opportunity to play with in Minnesota. It always feels like Fiala gets the short shrift in terms of line mates, but Boldy's come up from the minors, and he has 23 points in 25 games. Huge goals every night, 2 goals last night in Detroit, and it's just been unbelievable to start the year, and he just holds on to pucks, plays fast, offensive-minded, and he looks like he's got a bright future ahead of him, only 20 years old.
All right, Michael, thanks very much. We appreciate it.
Anytime, Dylan.
Again, that's Michael Russo of The Athletic. Right now, we'll throw it over to Bob McElligott and Jean-Luc Grandpierre for more on tonight's game.
Last night was a tough night all around for the Blue Jackets. It started when they lost to the New York Islanders 6-0. And Jean-Luc, it was one of those games where there were chances. There weren't many of them, but they didn't capitalize, and it was a disappointing way to go on the road and have to come back home.
Yeah, it was disappointing. The score could have been completely different, but for the Blue Jackets, yes, bad reads on the first 2 goals and then turnovers on the second 2 goals. So first 4 goals of the game, they shot themselves in the foot, and it was just too late with only generating 3 shots on net in that third period. Can't come back from that deficit.
Sean Corrali said before the game tonight that, yeah, it's difficult when the wounds are self-inflicted, but those are also the easiest ones to heal. Do you agree with that?
I think so. First of all, they get a chance to bounce back here tonight nationwide in front of their fans. And when you make mistake, but sometimes it's kind of like an avalanche. It's like one mistake leads to another. And every time you step on the ice, you try to do maybe a little more than your comfort zone. And then that's what creates those misread, those turnovers, those mistakes. So tonight they get a chance to get back at it. But like Sean said, yeah, at least you don't get to practice for a week before that next game.
Well, it also was a long night for the Blue Jackets because there was an issue with the plane. The team ended up having to stay overnight and fly back today. But they got to spend a little bit extra time with each other last night. It's not like they really lost out on a lot of rest. They got back early today. A little bit of a challenge, but that could be a good challenge, can it?
It can be a good challenge depending on the player's routine. Certain players have that routine where they'll come to the rink in the morning and then they have that nap time. Obviously, now you're on the flight, on the bus, driving home. That can interrupt that. So hopefully they bounce back as a group, but we'll find out.
You must have been a big routine guy when you played.
Not quite, but I love my nap.
I don't doubt that. Changes for the Blue Jackets tonight. Emil Bemstrom comes in to take over for Justin Danforth, who got injured last night. Also, it's going to be Gavin Bayruther going in for Gabriel Carlson on the blue line. Elvis Merzlikins back in net tonight. That's the way we see it. For John Luke Grandpierre, I'm Bob McElligott. Dylan, back to you.
Thanks again to Bob and John Luke. That's going to do it for tonight's edition of the Rink Report presented by Telhio Credit Union. I'm Dylan Tyrer saying enjoy the game.